particular all at once. In my own case, I want to go back. On June the 17th, I went to the news conference announcing the formation of Lifeline Syria here in Toronto. It was an organization, of course, that was put together to try to facilitate the arrival of refugees in Canada in the wake of this catastrophic situation that we'd seen arising in Syria in particular. And I went there that day because I thought that the efforts that were being undertaken by that group spoke a lot to who we are as Canadians and to how we address these things as a country and even as a city. And that organization was based in our city and was going to be putting together groups of people to sponsor refugees and to otherwise make sure that we could welcome those people. What I also said that day was that I would love to have seen mayors of other cities doing all I was doing, which was trying to show leadership as the mayor of Toronto in saying that our city should get behind this, that our city should, similarly as it had done in the 1970s with the Vietnamese refugees and other times since and before, mobilize itself, get community groups together, get small groups of people together to sponsor these refugees and to otherwise help in any way that they could.
It's a boast any mayor loves to make.
Toronto is leading the way, as it often does.
Toronto is taking the lead in a new campaign to sign up residents to bring 1,000 Syrian refugees to the city. And John Tory is issuing a challenge to other cities and other mayors to meet or beat Toronto's goal.
Let's show that we can do this again. Since that time, I've had there has been some facilitation I've been able to help with to put a couple of the mayors of bigger cities in touch with Lifeline Syria, but I think more now needs to be done. And in that regard, I ended up having a conversation yesterday with the mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson, who had called me seeking information on how they could be in better touch with and take a role with Operation Lifeline Syria, and that contact has now been established. I will be talking before the end of this hour with the mayors of Calgary and Vancouver and Edmonton, and we had scheduled a call to discuss other matters, but I'm going to offer them again to be able to just put them in touch with Lifeline Syria and help them with some of the template that organization has developed to help people in this city to facilitate the arrival of refugees here. I've also asked today that when we have a regularly scheduled, well, not a regularly scheduled, we have a sort of special gathering of the big city mayors upcoming in this month of September in the next few days to discuss funding matters and things that are on our agenda, that we add to that agenda, whether or not we can, again, make sure that this effort and this initiative extends to other big cities in the country that have the capacity and I'm sure the interest and willingness to get involved in this. And finally, I should just bring to your attention the fact that one of our very own councillors, Joe Cressy, told me this morning that he'll be bringing a request to a meeting coming up very shortly of one of our community councils to get a report from our own city officials on things we can do to make sure that when these refugees are arriving in Canada, we can do everything we can to facilitate their arrival. And I want to take this opportunity this morning, as I did on June the 17th, to say to the people of Toronto, and I know a lot of them have responded in the last number of weeks and in the last number of hours in particular, but to say to the people of Toronto, every one of us can be of some help in this, whether it's through a faith group, whether it's through a neighborhood group, whether it's just as a group of friends, in stepping up and saying we'll be part of either sponsoring or welcoming or in some other way, making sure that we can take the terrible crisis in which these people find themselves and make sure that they can, for some of them, have the opportunity to be as blessed as we are to come to this country and have all the opportunity that it presents. But it's not going to happen by itself. It's going to happen because Torontonians step up and offer to be of help to Lifeline Syria and offer to be of help in a very specific kind of way. I mean, of course, it could be money, but it could be other things as well. And I hope that Toronto can show continued leadership in this area. I know Operation Lifeline Syria has made progress since they started their work on June 17th and before, but I also know they need lots more help to accommodate the our share and more of the refugees that would normally be expected to settle in this area. And so that is a message that I thought it was appropriate to reiterate this week in light of everything that's been going on since June the 17th and every day before and after. I received an email from a friend on Sunday, and it said they were forming a small group of people, as you can do. And I think a lot of people ask the question, is it okay to form a group of just people? Like, they're not in an organization, they're not incorporated, they're not a church group, they're just a group of people who want to help. And the answer is yes. And I got an email from a friend who said, would I join such a group and provide financial support to make up the $27,000 that is the minimum that's required to help settle a group of refugees here? And I said, yes, I would. So I'm part of a group that's going to do that, and it was explained to me, and I knew it already, and I would mention it to the people. When you do that, of course, the money is a necessary element to make sure that settlement can happen successfully, but we've all sort of been in communication with each other in this group to agree that there are many other things we're going to do. One person, for example, has already volunteered they can make available some furniture that they have, and it's going to sit and be stored until such time as this family that we end up sponsoring, and I don't know who they are at this moment, gets here, but then there will be some furniture. And of course, there are many other things like that, including a moral responsibility, if not more, that you have to help them find some work and generally get settled here in Toronto. And so it's the kind of thing I would have done as a private citizen in any event. I happen now to be the mayor, and to see a little boy, and it doesn't matter whether it's a little boy or a little girl, and frankly, it doesn't matter whether it's a child of any age or a human being, in a circumstance like that where they have washed up on the shore, trying to find, out of desperation, a place they can go to seek refuge from turmoil and catastrophe that we can't even imagine, broke my heart. These are human beings. And I'm gratified at the fact that every corner of this community has stepped forward and sort of said that they're going to just look at them that way. And that's what Toronto's all about, and that's what Canada's all about. But I was horrified. I was heartbroken at the fact that there are people in another corner of the world, and we know this is going on, but this just brings it in graphic detail to our attention, and to me is a catalyst to do something. And I felt good about the fact I'd already stepped up a few days earlier and said that I would be part of this group, but it did motivate me to want to, upon some of the inquiries that were really helpful.
You talked about the mayors you spoke to. Have you spoken to Mr. Cadet?
Not yet, but he was phoning me this morning, and I honestly can't tell you if he was phoning about this, so I don't want to put words in his mouth as to why he was phoning, and I expect it might be about this, and I just didn't get a chance before I came to speak to you to call him back.
Do you have any sense of how long this family that you're sponsoring is going to take them to get here?
I asked the question, and I was only told it might be in the early part of the new year. And again, we can have lots of debates, and in these days,